Hey y'all, it's Anna V, and you, my friend, are listening to the All-American Wing Shooting Podcast. I am a hunter, conservationist, mom of 2 girls I have raised in the outdoors, and a proud owner of a truck full of dogs. My passion is guiding you to confidence, sharing in tradition, and celebrating the true meaning of success in the field. Here we go. Hey y'all, welcome back. We are on episode, I really can't remember, of the Sporting Life Legacy Podcast. I am purposefully not numbering them anymore because
we forgot how to number.
Yeah, when we get to 100, I don't want to know because I don't want it to stop.
There you go. When we get to 100.
So I can't believe I finally get to see you. We've had a little break. I hope we've been missed.
We needed to get out there and do it, right? We're not just talkers. We had to get out there and do it. We've been to Texas. We've been to Tennessee for opening day of Dove. And, that's worthy things to take a break on. So now we can come back and tell the tales. So.
Right. And then I had my first Griffin and Howe ladies trip to Louisiana while you were bouncing around the South. And we shot doves and teal. And Miss Jackie even got her a gator. So did Miss Susan.
Got her a gator. How cool is that?
She did.
Right?
Yes, she did. She said, I told her, I was like, they got a couple of gators. You know, if you want to go gator hunting, we can go. And she was like, I don't know about that. I said, that didn't sound like a no to me. Let's get ready.
There you go. Answer 4. So that's good.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Good. So we talked a little bit about, let's talk about mental management. And where do I use it? Where do you use it? When do you need to be prepared for it? Right? And I would tell you, a field, you've got the competition side of that, if you're a sporting clay shooter or if you're a trap shooter, and that's the concentration in the mental game. And then there's also, I will tell you that when I'm a field, I have a mental game that I stay focused, that I can participate at a level that I'm not a spectator. And we'll jump back to that word, what I said, being a spectator. When 3 doves fly past you right over your head and you didn't see them, you're a spectator, right? And everybody else is calling your name.
Yeah.
Your situational awareness has dropped to a new low when that happens, right? You're preoccupied. So where would you like to start with this mental management?
Well, I've preached about mental management a lot. And number one, I want people to know that this is not an intimidating term. It does sound a little bit overwhelming because people are like, where in the world do you start? And I think there's some cuckoo woo-woo stuff out there too.
Yeah, there is.
That, can deter people from diving in. I would say I wasn't taught mental management with me knowing. It was one of those hindsight 2020 things that I looked back and said, holy smokes. I was given a book called, I meant to bring that to our podcast today, With Winning in Mind. And to me, it was just a book.
Mr. Lanny Basham.
And what it did for me at that moment, even though I was competing, I was a mom first. When we're mom before everything we do. But my daughter, my oldest, was a competitor. She was riding horses competitively. And it changed me being a parent. Then I realized, it's changed my own mindset for myself. And then I benefited from all of that as well. So
here's a statement.
Okay.
So you read it, you got involved with a little bit of that. And the first thing we say is, wherever you are, be all there. Mm-hmm. You've heard that before.
And that's really hard for women.
Right. What does that mean? Right?
Turn off all the windows.
Right. So I'll break it down for you, and you probably will recognize this, and some of our viewers will kind of recognize this if you've gotten involved in this, is the conscious mind, and I'm going to date myself here, is quite a bit like the old black and white TVs where the picture would roll. And the conscious mind can only think about have one picture at a time. The subconscious, it's got your lungs breathing, it's got your heart pill, it's controlling your whole body without any of your help. When you walk subconsciously. When you reach for something, those are all subconscious skills. And then the third is the self-image. And learning how to manage those three is basically what mental management is. And when we say be all, wherever you are, be all there. I'll give you one example. You're in a duck blind and it's flight time and the person sitting next to you is talking about their shells and talking about their choke and talking about this. He's a spectator. He's not involved in the hunt. My eyes, I'm quiet. My eyes are scanning the sky. I know in the next 12 to 15 minutes, we should almost have a half a limit because it's go time right now. I'm all in the duck blind. We can talk about that stuff later back at the lodge or back at the pickup truck. But when I'm in the blind, I'm focused. I've got a little job to do. When I'm in a shooting stand, I'm not thinking about chokes. I'm not thinking about loads. I'm thinking about the tactics of I'm going to meet the bird here and I'm going to kill it here. And I'm going to meet this one here and I'm going to kill it here. And I'm going to use my deep breathing. And basically what we're doing on that situation is calming down the beta wave. So it's eyes first, right? Eyes first and the hands follow the eyes. So this mental management thing cuts across a lot of different categories, and you can get a little technical with it, but I just want to touch on a couple of points. Does that all sound reasonable? So
I'll take it.
Where do we apply it, right?
Yeah.
So you and I have both spent many a day behind dogs in the field, okay? For me, North Dakota is my number one place. I don't talk to my hunting partner. I give him hand signals because me and the dog are the partners. He's just, unfortunately, I hate to say Pat is just an accessory over there because I have to pay attention to the dog, right? It sounds funny, but the dog is hunting
Pat's a
for me.
sharpshooter. He's not just
right?
an accessory.
He's good, but in my mind, I'm not focused on him because if I'm focusing on my hunting partner, I'm not paying attention to my dog. The dog is going to tell us what the hunt is creating. The dog tells you when the bird's getting up. He knows when you're getting into scent. The dog is relying on me to give him proper signal. So I'm managing myself and my dog, not being distracted by the social end of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's many different avenues where being all there makes all the difference. Like,
especially in
bird
the duck
gets up,
field.
right, and it's in the
teal.
duck blind.
I'm telling you, the teal, the way that the blind was set up, and plus we had our rookie duck hunters on one end. They were like coming from behind, just they zoom, right? They're so
zoom,
fast.
right?
They flew right in front of the blind, so they weren't out far enough for us to actually see them. Like they were in between the decoys and the blind, and
right,
then all of a
that
sudden,
close.
Right, it was perfect shot. Well, we see them, they're gone.
Right.
Happened twice. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because the birds had already migrated south. These were like the stragglers. And we needed them. Like we needed them so bad.
You need them, but
and I'm like,
in that split moment of not allowing your senses to pick up that there's birds coming in, you go from hunter to spectator, right?
Yeah.
Had the bird get up and get 40 yards out on you without you seeing it or knowing it, or the other side of indecision. So the mental management part of this, it's not just for the competitive shooter. Any professional sports player is always involved in this. I use it and always have used it afield. It keeps me focused. I'm in that cover. If I'm in Maine and I'm in that cover might be 20, 25 minutes long. I'm very focused. I got 25 minutes. I'll talk to you when we get to the other side because then we can talk about the harvest and what we just did. But while I'm in the cover, I'm very focused because things happen quick. They happen very quick and it's a reactionary movement. And if you're not paying attention and you're not calm, low beta waves, nice and quiet, you've heard me use this term of soft eyes, soft hands, right?
Mhm.
Don't muscle a gun. It's because when the eyes are nice and relaxed, they pick up motion that other people don't see. And that's just managing your resources. So in different disciplines, we apply it slightly different, but it's basically the same way. It's controlling your emotions, right?
Okay, that's it. I could tell a difference in just life after going through this program. And so the main thing that I wanted, for Tater being a rookie shooter this past year, she hasn't really got in the thick of the program yet, but I was like, the kid is going to be a killer test taker at school because of what she learns at shooting practice. And
Right.
people don't realize that,
Lessons learned.
yeah, that presence that you get, that mental presence, and how you can quieten the noise. And it also teaches you how to manage your anxieties.
Absolutely. So how do we shut that committee off in your head? Right? Everybody understands the committee in your head, right? Everybody's like, everybody's talking up there. That's the conscious mind. Conscious mind. That's the indecision. What about this?
Hmm.
What about that? What about this? When you train, you talk about your shooting or whatever skill you're involved in. I don't care if it's badminton, swimming, shooting. When you've trained enough for proper technique, that is stored in your subconscious. When the success comes, that's what builds the self-image. And you want to keep the conscious mind out of it. It's a conditioned response, what we do. Reactionary moves to the movement of the bird. Everybody says, oh, those grouse are so fast. I don't find them that fast because I was paying attention. Now, I missed quite a few grouse, but I've got a couple of doubles under my belt already, okay? And it's because I was in the moment. Like, why wouldn't there be a pair of juveniles behind that log?
And that takes reps. With
It
reps,
takes
you can
reps.
slow down.
Exactly. You're not going to get like this. Listen, and I'll be very clear about this. To slow the world down, that's not something that you can train right away first thing, but you can start introducing it for our new hunters and our new shooters. It is part of the introduction to how we do this. It's not something that you can just say, okay, we're now going to do something totally different. We're going to incorporate this into our training modules as we move forward. And as they get better at accepting the data, you can increase the level of technical ability with this mental training. And once you figure it out, basically all we're doing at the end of the day is quieting the mind, bringing the beta waves down, relaxing, taking all the tension out, and just letting it happen. Just letting it happen. And it takes a while. The bird flushes, the gun just comes up, waits, and the gun, how many times has the gun gone off and you didn't even pull the trigger? As, I would say, yes, you pulled the trigger, but
Yeah.
there was no conscious mind with it. Now, not now, now, not now. No, the gun went up, the brain accepts the picture, the brain knows the hands put the gun in the right place, the gun went off, and the bird just falls down. It's like, that was just autopilot. And that's just what we call letting it happen. You're in a good management mode. You're letting the conscious mind get out of the way. The committee in your head between the ears is quiet. They're all sitting down, listening, not talking. And you got to learn to do this. So, it's kind of funny that you talked about Lanny. The person you're talking about is Lanny Basham.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Gold medal rifle shooter, right?
Underdog.
Underdog. But he knew he was the best. He knew he could handle it. And if you read the story, it's a tremendous story. And I'll tell you, my story with Lanny was when that book was first written, I called him up in Texas at 6:30 in the morning to order a book. And guess who answered the phone?
He did.
Hour later, I got off the phone.
He still answers the phone now.
Hour later, I got off the phone and I spent time with Lanny. And it was just like, the desire, and he had such a nice, subtle way of explaining it, and it's been easy for me to teach it since knowing his process,
Hmm.
and I highly recommend his stuff. I highly recommend his tapes. Go on a trip and listen to his tapes, read his books. With winning in mind is the first thing. I used to buy 6 and 8 of those and hand them out to my students, just as I said,
Well,
here, this is the best read you'll ever hear for
it
this
is.
thing.
And his he has parenting champions. You want to talk about raising champions of life. I think that every single new parent that you give a baby gift to, that book should be part of the gift
That book should
because,
be in there. Yep. Yep.
you know, it,
Learning to
in
stay
some way,
focused,
shape, or
right?
form, yeah, kids are going to compete in something, not every T-ball player is going to end up being in the major leagues, but
Right.
they can learn lessons that will apply in life, like just playing ball. And that was the thing I've said so many times and probably not explained myself very well, that I didn't want my kids playing school sports. I wanted them doing other things because the two things that my kids have done outside of school sports, JC rode horses, which brings a ton of responsibility. But Tater's shooting, I just got addicted to the lessons that came with shooting about life. And my shooting coach just happens
Right.
to be certified through the Lanny Basson program. He was like the first one to go through his parenting champions certification. And what a gift. Like, I didn't even seek it out. I just feel like that's
Hmm.
probably been the biggest blessing of my shooting career is to learn how to manage life. And so
So
I think like the
why don't you
main thing is
explain
self-talk.
what
It's
we should do
self-talk.
is maybe explain how you'd apply that to, like your child, like your daughter, um, learning how to focus on just how you do your homework, how you do everything, learning how to turn off the distractions,
Well, and it's
find
also the
find
way
a
that you
place.
talk about it, where
Right.
you could say, like the biggest thing I guess that was transformational for us was we never could say we missed because or we had a bad day because it was always solution oriented, right? And so when
Hmm.
you think about corporate life, nobody cares why you had a screw up. Everybody wants to know, how are you going to fix this? How are we going to make things better?
Right.
So I
Right.
was like, oh my gosh,
And
my little kid is learning very practical lessons for later in life,
it
even
it
if she doesn't shoot anymore as competition. But
it, it all
we did
applies.
those um, like lesson recaps where you would do a self evaluation and they were broken down. We even talked, like, we would list the weather. And Tater has her notebook in her gun bag. She always does this after every practice.
Yep.
She talks about the weather, she talks about the sun. And really, she's just creating a journal of her shooting journey to see
It's
how that mental management growth
right.
happened. So when she looks back, she'd be like, look how far I've come, because it's really hard in reflection to see that growth yourself.
Situation awareness, understanding there's more to the whole thing than
Hmm.
just you,
Yep.
your place in the big picture,
Yep.
how it affects you,
Hmm.
and the inputs and outputs that you're responsible for, you
Right.
know, and maintain learning how to achieve and maintain focus so it becomes relatively easy. And you've heard me speak about this before. Lessons, the definition of lessons is for a brand new person, no matter what the lesson is, it's creating behavior. If they've done it and they want to increase their technical ability, it's changing their behavior. So
Hmm.
unless you can learn how to stay focused and focus in on that structure of the lesson, and like we say, pinpoint that one part of the sequence that needs an improvement, right? Breaking it down, meet the bird, match the speed, apply the lead, visual follow through, all that, understanding all that, having that kind of focus, that's what takes us up to a higher level. So it's a conditioned response. Everything is a conditioned response, not a conscious move.
Yeah, you had to train yourself to think that way. So in those
Mhm.
recaps, you would score yourself per se in certain ways. Some of it's paragraph form and some of it's not, but it's like what percentage did you use your pre-shot routine? Call yourself out. Oh my gosh, well, no wonder I might have had a crummy day, but then I'll look, oh, only 25% I actually used my pre-shot. I was off in la la land and I just called pull and went through the thing instead of quieting
Right.
my eyes,
Have I
sitting online.
have I told you the little gimmick I use when I teach people to practice when they want to shoot high numbers for discipline? I think I may have mentioned this to you. I will take the student and I'll say, when you practice, I want you to take and put 25 shells in your right pocket. And I want you to shoot 25 targets. And every target that you shoot the right way properly and you see the way I'm asking you to see and execute it the way we're working on, I'm going to give you permission to take the empty out and put it in your left pocket. Okay? And at the end of the 25 shells, you'd be very surprised on how many shells are in the bucket and how many shells are in the left pocket. And that is a clear pathway of understanding of how to stay focused, of repeating a process-oriented thought patterns,
Yeah,
not
because they get that instant
not
reward.
outcome, process-oriented, right?
Yep.
Thought patterns, not outcome. Hope I don't miss. What's my score? I could shoot a 90 today. Those are all outcome. That process-oriented thought patterns is what builds consistency in the mental game, and we apply it to everything. It's how we succeed in life, how we exceed and get to higher levels of these things that we love so much. Wherever you are, you got to be all there. And this is what we
Yes,
talk
you
about,
have
this
to be
mental.
all
This
there.
is how we get there.
And what is the number one hurdle or the number one problem? Would be your self-talk, like you've got to get control of that and fix that
Just
first.
learning how to be able to shut out the distractions, to recognize the distractions, and maybe you are the distraction, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about, and look, I love it for the industry, but a lot of people are gadget crazy. You know, we're getting, oh, I got to use this stroke for this station, this stroke for that station. I got to use this shell. Are they really? They're not thinking about the strategy of the game. They're playing with their gadgets. I mean, it's great for the industry, but they're not thinking about the game. They get in the box and they have not thought about what they're about to undertake here. And the same thing is, you know, we're in a duck blind or we're in a pit blind with geese and they're putzing around with their coffee and doing this, and they're not focused. They're not calm. So when they come in, why you missed 3 shots and this guy over here got 3 geese further, you know, because he's just focused. You know,
I
and this
do
is
weird things too. Like my morning routine of how I got up, how I did my breathing exercises before competition, whether it was hunting tournaments or shooting tournaments, was all the same. I don't necessarily do my breathing exercises, but my breakfast and how I eat, how I get dressed, like that whole thing, even when I'm hunting. And it's like not serious. Nobody's taking score, but it has, I was cracking up about that. I was like, I did have the puppy, which was a distraction a little bit at hunt camp, but it also allowed me to get away. So I wasn't at big breakfast with everybody in the mornings. Like I was still in my quiet time in my space. And and I was like, oh my gosh, like once you create these habits, like they're here for life because you know the benefit of them, you know, just being so focused. It's very addictive.
That's what
And
brings the focus, and that's what allows you to keep the stress and the tension out, right? All that emotional nonsense. You know, this is not an emotional game.
no, and we need to address that because there are a lot of parents that don't understand this, right? They might have a kid that's competing and a kid that has a ton of potential, but this kid gets caught up in the emotion. They have a bad station. They come out of there slinging shells and throwing their gun around and
Well,
upset. And the parents, they don't know how to fix that. You know, they don't even know how to address it. And so the only
we
thing they
live.
can do is be like, you can have a bad attitude. And I agree. Like, That's my number one rule for my kids is don't embarrass me. But
Right. But it's deeper than
it's
that.
deeper. Yeah, it's deeper than
This
that.
world of instant gratification, eye-hand coordination games, all these games, that's great, but instant gratification is always not what it pumped up to be. I always, when I teach, I always tell my students in the beginning, I try to explain how this is going to go, and I always use the term, and I may have used it with you before, a no hit is a discovery moment, not a, excuse my French, I must suck at this, I'm
Yeah.
no good at this. It's not that. It's a discovery moment. It's like, so let's break down the sequence, the course of events that just took place. What part of it doesn't he understand? Maybe, look, if the student is confused, if I have a student and he's confused, guess who created that confusion? Me, right? It's not, don't blame the student. Don't go there. Right? The instructor or the situation created that confusion. So when we reverse engineer it and break it down and have the student or the child, whatever it is, understand the events about to take place, they're much more in control of the emotions. Much more in control of it. Because there's really no place for that. I mean, look, we're all going to party and we're all going to celebrate at the end of it, but during the exercise is not the time for that. We talk about different levels of excitement, nervousness. There's two different types of nervous. There's the nervous, which is actually absolutely useless, I would say to you, is unsure of the outcome,
Yep.
right? Which is absolute negative. And then there's the other side of arousal. Like, I love doing this. I can't wait to get in here. That's the positive, right? That's
And I'll tell you what mine
big
was.
time energy, power energy. We
I would
love this.
start-
This is negative.
I'd start good and I would be there, be that. And then I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm really doing this. Like, this is really good. And then it would just kind of fall apart in the middle. And then I'd have to build myself back up. And I remember the first open I shot, I was like, I don't remember how I found out this, but I realized that my scores it was my first open. I'd only been shooting I don't know, it was like the first 6 months or so. And they were up there with like the pros. And I literally tanked. I tanked my whole self. And like, I know we're not supposed to know our scores. And I probably didn't know the numbers, but I knew that I hadn't missed a lot,
Yeah, you felt you were in the game. You're in the game.
So that's something else that's really hard to master. It's one of those things like, okay, I've got to give myself a pass. Like, I understand, okay, this self-doubt, this self-negative talk, all that's got to go.
That's the self-image.
But how do you keep yourself from falling off when you realize, like, hey, I'm actually like doing what I've been taught to do?
So that is what you're talking about, is the self-image. If you don't believe you can, you won't. The self-image is like, somebody steps forward to volunteer and the guy grabs him by the collar and pulls him back and says, no, you're not. The self-image is like a governor. You'll only perform up to the level that you've been trained. And you get up there and you start, we'll talk about shooting a tournament, and let's say a trap shooter. Trap shooter's always shooting, he or she is shooting really good. They'll shoot a 90, 92, but they never can break into that. Look, if you can shoot 92, why can't you shoot 100 straight, right? Because you clearly know the game. But they start getting up to that threshold of, oh my God, I could win this thing.
Yes.
And their self-image gets in the way, and it's a governor, and it pulls you. If you don't believe that you can win, you're not. You got to learn how to win. You don't just get there. You have to learn how to manage and learn how to win. And any high-level competitor will tell you that. You've got to be comfortable in your own skin. Like, I belong here. I belong in this huge field in North Dakota, and I am the best pheasant shooter on the planet. I'm very confident what I do, right? And I will make shots that other people won't pick their guns up. When you're in the sporting clays, I'm even if you're a C-class shooter, which is, man, that's the toughest class to shoot out of. I am the best C-class shooter out here, and I'm going to win this tournament because I put the time in. That positive. Now, you can be, here, we'll go one step further. You can be out of balance and your self-image is bigger than your database. Okay? You think you're better than you are.
Right.
And that could get in the way because you think you're big, but you haven't done the training. Okay? So we talk, when people say, oh, I was really in the zone, like you said, I ran 9 stations straight and all of a sudden the wheels fell off, right?
Yeah.
Now, was it a technical thing or was it?
I'll tell you this. This is confession moment here, okay? Because I'm not shooting every day like I used to when my self-image was at peak. Like, I didn't care who was up there, what specialty gun they had. I would come with my field gun. I knew I've shot in every type of weather, in every type of terrain. I knew what I could do. And at the end of the day, if somebody was more prepared than me, then it didn't mean that I wasn't my best, right?
Right. Well, that's the big thing about competing too, is like you have to understand that when you shoot at a high level and you're hunting, someone else could just be having a little bit, you're having a tremendous day. But the other person had even another tremendous day. And we're all going to celebrate that because when we're all up here, man, that's a win, 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 win,
Right. Okay, so I've not been in practice. It was the first time I came to visit you guys back at the very beginning of the year. And I was out with Hans. Hans put me with some Beretta target gun, and I didn't love it. I do love the A400, but y'all don't shoot semi-autos on the club. So I'd never shot this type of gun before, not even like picked it up before. And he had gone and took me through drills, and we shot driven birds, talking about all the cool things that we're going to do as partners, right? And just giving me lay of the land of Griffin Howe. Then I have my ladies' lunch, and I meet all the ladies, and that was so much fun. So it was like focus, distraction, and all brand new stuff, right? So then I become a host to members that I didn't know. So it was all new things. Then it was, okay, come shoot with us. So then it's like, okay, I'm going to go shoot a strange gun with strangers. And of course, there's that level of pressure of expectation. So I'm building this, like, for instance, somebody could be listening and they got invited to go to a clay tournament for fundraiser at work, right? And everybody's like,
Right.
We know you shoot, so you come be our ringer. And they're going to shoot with some company they don't even know. So it's like you get this expectation put on you, and you need to prepare for it if you can. Well, I wasn't prepared. So I had no idea that these women were going to then, after we had our little fun shoot, take me to Annie Oakley. Now I've got to shoot against the boys. And I was like, and I was remembering my old self, right? And I was like, I used to live for these moments. And all I could think about when I was there is, number one, I'm not practiced up. I've already shot all these rounds. The reality of this is I am so fatigued far beyond I've shot more in that morning than I've shot in the last 6 months. And because I'd been team mom, been watching all the kids shoot, not shooting. So
there is life.
I could not believe that I end up pulling out a win. Okay. So in the moment, I was able to dive in thanks to Hans, just kept giving me shells and I didn't have to move. But when it was over, I was so thrilled, right? I was like, oh my gosh, I did it again. I did it again. I haven't lost it. I was so excited. I come home. Of course, life happens and I don't go back to practicing every day, even though I was fired up to get back to competing. Then I come back and I'm like, oh my gosh. What if I go back to Annie Oakley and I just like get kicked out like the first person? And I was like, I know better. Like I know better. But the point of is if you're not going to
be a one-hit wonder, are you?
No, not me. And so I was like, man, I know all the facts. I've lived it. I've won all the things that I could have ever won. And it's like, how does that creep back up on you? And it was kind of scary. It was like, this is how people fall apart, and I always think about our shooting lessons in life.
I call that the boogeyman. The boogeyman is always under the bed.
Yeah.
He never goes away until you finally put him to bed, and that's securing your position in your own head about, do you really belong there? And
I
the answer
do
is
when
when
I'm
you get
pregnant, but
there.
I'm like, it is intimidating when these guys shoot every single week, and you guys have,
Oh, that's
everybody's in the top training, and all that. So I just thought that I was allowed to have that experience so that I could relate to the people that we coach, the people that we train, the people that we host. I was
it's a
grateful
good
for it,
place to
but
be. It's a good place to be. Look, you have to, if you're going to coach and be mentored or be a mentor, you need to be in every position so you understand what it's like to be on the receiving end of it. Otherwise, you're really not doing yourself any favors, and you're not doing your client any favors. But this
it
this
was the first time that I said, "Holy smokes!" Like, I really have to make that commitment to get my confidence back because I'd never felt that before.
and that's, look, what we do when we're afield with a shotgun in our hands. It is a diminishing skill. It's not something, and I always say, "Oh, you ride a bike." Now, you're not going to totally forget how to shoot, but I will tell you, the very first resource that goes sour is your ability to control your eyes and give your eyes a directive on how to look at the target. That's the first resource that gets diminished. When
Hmm.
the eyes have control of the target, the hands know the hands might be a little rusty, but after enough repetitions, that lead hand knows what to do at the front of the gun, and the follow hand knows where to bring the gun into the cheek, and the eyes take over completely. And that's probably the first thing that gets diminished is the way we're looking at the target, whether it be a duck, a pheasant, a clay target, or a rabbit, whatever it is. It's that attentive focus on detail on the target.
Well, that's the whole thing. Is I was like, nothing is stopping me from doing my mounting drills inside. Nothing is stopping me from doing. I mean, nothing's really stopping me from shooting in the backyard. Like, I don't even have to go to the clay
Right.
course, right?
Right.
But it wasn't necessarily my skills that I lost. I lost confidence, right? Because I'm not using it. And I did find myself complacent just bird hunting.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, man, I
Every,
am not happy with myself right now because I was
everybody's
grateful.
guilty. I'm guilty. We're all guilty. I shot. I'll tell you exactly. I was down in Texas, and I haven't shot much this summer at all. I've been working, doing a lot of different things, and we got to a station. They were real targets. They weren't charity event targets. And I got to a 4-pair station, an absolute indecision. I was going to shoot it one way, and the whole squad shot it the other way. And my indecision cost me a couple of targets. I would have been high on the squad, easily high on the squad. It cost me target. Indecision. And that's lack of shooting. That's exactly what indecision. I could have broken either one of those targets, but indecision cost me the high spot.
Well, that's how Tater beat me, was because I was caught running my mouth at a charity event because it was
Mm-hmm.
easy targets and I got complacent
Yep.
and I lost my
Just less,
line.
not easy, just less technical. Just less technical. You still got to look at them. You got to break them all.
You still
And,
got to
and
be on.
that's getting back, all back to our first words 45 minutes ago. Wherever you are, you got to be all there. Staying focused is a learned skill, and once you understand, and you could break it down for someone, they will understand on how important it is to apply this to everything that we do. How every day starts. Every day
So,
starts this way because I want repetitive performance on demand. And to be that person, you have to be the regimented 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's how you get there. And it becomes a behavioral behavioral skill to be that person.
And that is so hard. I don't like being regimented. I love waking up every day knowing it is not going to be like the day before. And I live for the ultimate, like,
Yeah, why
surprise
not?
of the
Look, you know me.
twist
Look.
of my
You know what I
schedule.
do for a living. You know where I am. I never repeated the same day ever. I just there's all kinds of stuff every day.
My
But it's
I was
my consistency. My consistency is what helps me even through the low times. You know, I'm going to be 71, and there's days where I don't come in here with a full set of batteries, and some days I can turn that into the best day of teaching ever because I'm focused. I'm not taking anything for granted. Hope this all makes a little bit of sense. I know we've
Okay,
talked about a
let's
lot of
finish
different
this up
things.
on. I think that we've explained the importance of it and touched on some major key topics of a
So
middle management program, but I hope that the things that we love so much about it hasn't been overwhelming. So, how do we wrap this up either to send people somewhere for the program where they can learn more, or how do we encourage them to get involved? Because this is not something that you take a little bit from here and you take a little bit from here because
now,
you will
because what
create.
happens is that then it becomes a cake that nobody wants to eat, right? It's
Yeah.
got all this junk in it. I would say, look, I'm a big fan of Lanny Basham. You know, with winning in mind. Anything along those parallels. Here's a person, and what he did. He's not talking about him. He does talk about himself a little bit, but he talks about the journey of many Olympic athletes and the difference between them. And what I'm going to tell you is the first thing Lanny will tell you is it's not that I'm not better than anybody else. I don't shoot better. It's just, it's the way you think makes the difference in the top 10%. It's the way, the preparedness and the way they think. Like you will see if you came in my boat duck hunting, you would see how well organized my boat is. My shells are here. My thermos is here. My gun is on that rack over here. Each decoy is packed in my boat a certain way because I don't put the teal out first. I put black ducks out first, and I put the teal over here, and they go back in the boat the same way. When we go hunting in the field, when you see my shooting bag for Moses, the shells are here, the first aid kit's here, the collar is in the bag here. Everything has a rhyme and a reason, and it's that those learned organizational skills that make it like mechanical. My gun goes in the truck the same way. Pat comes in from the passenger side. I go in from the driver's side. The kennel allows me to pull the dog out this side. We're like a machine. It's rhythm and consistency. We pull up on a cover, we break out. Within 2 minutes, the dog's on the ground and we're going to field again. And when we come out of the field, it just collapses right back in the truck. And it's that consistency that helps you, your performance level, really get very comfortable. You know, you're very comfortable in your own skin, and you're just getting it done. You're just getting it done because there's the level of chaos is very low. We leave the
Yeah.
chaos for the fun part. You know, like Sharpies just pulled out of nowhere. That's
Yes.
chaos. Get it done, right? We had no idea there were Sharpies there, or you know, like you said, there were two blue wings flying with the green winged teal, and you
Yeah.
saw them both, and you harvest them. That's what we're talking about.
Those are
Focusing on
moments
look.
that is so worth the 5, 10 years worth of work to get these systems dialed down, all that stuff. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm with you. I completely understand because at the level of competition that you and I have been at, the only difference, and it could be by the day, is the mental presence.
right.
And
And
so I just geek out about how all of these things have just helped me manage life so much
yeah,
better and the chaos that we deal in our daily lives. But besides with Winning in Mind, is there any other books that you have found or programs that you have found
I,
very beneficial?
I've stayed pretty much. I was so comfortable. I was always so comfortable with his. I've read other books, but I was always so comfortable with the way he explained it and broke it down. He broke it down that people can actually understand it, because it's something that unless you're a psychologist, you don't need to go to that level. You need to, like for me, look, I was a technician on cars for 38 years. I did a lot of pretty technical stuff, but most of your tech manuals are written, fortunately, at a sixth grade level. So they're comprehensible, so you could digest them. So, there's a lot of books about the eyes and quiet eye and all this stuff. And if you read it from the original writer, I mean, you got to be a psychologist to even read the book. It's just way over your head. So I always digested Lanny's version, and I pushed it because it was such an easy read, and most people got a lot out of it rather than this guy or that guy. And there was a lot of sports psychologists, a lot of really good ones, but I kind of got into Lanny, and I said, this guy's really got it together. And Lanny doesn't pay me. He doesn't send me free books.
Me either.
I only recommend things I would use myself, and I believe in the way the guy teaches, and I think he's pretty advanced, and he's created. And the funny thing about he has created not just shooters, golfers, baseball players. It's all mental focus. It's
business. He does a lot of business coaching.
Yes.
He's built a family legacy out of this, and of course, being an Olympic winner is going to tip off a family legacy. But his family is also in his business, and so that was the first book I read. It was required to me to read at my second shotgun lesson.
Yeah.
And
that's why I like it. I like it.
I call it my
it's an
shooting
easy
Bible.
read. It's the point. You can get very technical, but it's what Kevin does for a living. My life is I deliver the message. That's my job. And if I can't deliver the message in a way that people will understand it, if I'm talking over the head or underneath their education level, I'm not delivering the message. And what I like about Lenny is he has such a broad spectrum of communication skills. That's why I like it so much. And I think he's had a couple of different editions to sharpen up some of it, because he's not a book writer, but he had so much knowledge on it. He really laid it down quite well. So
I agree, and I love that you love that book too, because it's just been so special to me. Yeah.
And we can go on and on today about, how to apply it, but I think we've covered it. If you're passionate about doing anything, you will understand the necessity for focus and the levels. We talk, when we train people that shoot tournaments and stuff, we talk about stress levels and tension levels, and we'll put values on targets. And I'll say, look, this is a 3 or a 4. And then we talk about light values and units of light, units of input from how much you can see. I try to explain to people, I want you to try to see every target as a 10. My intent is to see every target as a 10, but that's not humanly possible. Sometimes you have to settle for a 5 or 6, but my intent is a 10. So, just staying with this and just getting involved, I think, starts at a very young age. And I think, like just what you said, with children, it's a great way to get them moving forward and getting to understand why. Answer me this. Some kids are very smart and they hate doing homework. They just don't get focused on it, and I think it holds them back big time. And other kids will sit down and devour a book in 2 hours. They have that mental focus, they have that desire, and they've learned how to study. They've learned how to get clean in the head and focus on what they're reading, and they really enjoy, and they consume so much more, right? It imprints so much more when you're in that state of mind. So, look, we could go on for a lot, but it's important that people understand this and apply this to everything they love to do, their work, their kids, their everything. Wherever you are, be all there.
It's like the best kept secret of shooting, I think, is that book.
Yeah, it's not just go bang. It's not what we talk about, what we do with the gun. It's not what it is. It's a whole, you got to take the whole thing. It's a whole package. It's a whole
So we
package.
should just thank him. Thank you, Lanny Basson, for sharing
There
your
you go.
secrets with us. It has
And
been
you know what?
transformational.
I'm going to tell you I'm going to close on this one too. I'm going to tell you that in my experience, I've been doing this a little bit, different personalities learn different. We know that, right? Coaching ability and how people process information. And I have many guys and gals that come out and take lessons with me. And I know, I have a lot of weekly people, and I know the guy's got a big deal in his head. And he's Kevin, I got to get a conference call at 10 o'clock. I know that student is not a teachable student today. Mm-hmm. His brain is someplace else. So we'll just keep it fun, calm him down, calm her down. And all of a sudden you may get a teaching moment in there because they've gotten that stuff out of their head. You get a chance to get in their head, teach them a little something. And then look, it's 10 o'clock. I can have my conference call now. And it's a win-win situation.
Yes.
So I deal with that a lot.
That's so awesome to use, the gift and the thing that we love really to bring such value and transformation into people's lives. Like, I know that sometimes we just think we're just in the sporting clay world, but it really does bleed over into so much. And
Everything.
man, I can tell you, I can have the worst day and I can dread the drive to the clay course, but I have never, ever, ever said, I wish I hadn't have taken that time. That was really a waste of my day.
Once you finally get there.
Never said that. And all of a sudden my brain is clear and my positivity is all back and I feel centered. I can go conquer the world.
It's because Anna showed up.
Hey, yeah.
Anna showed up.
I love the fact that my whole foundation was built on that book. So if you are just wanting to sharpen your skills and you think, hey, I need to plan some more lessons, I would suggest purchasing this book. It's on Amazon. You can go to LannyBasson.com, I think it is, or it could be with Winning in Mind. He's easy to Google. And I would suggest starting with that book. Yeah. It's just transformational in business and in life. And that's what he's an expert at. So
he sure is.
Thank you, Kevin. That was such a surprise. I did not know that we were going to.
See that? I surprise you all the time. You never know.
All right. Until next week.
Dawn's finally breaking as I leave this sleepy town. The sun is slowly rising and the fog is on the ground.